on a Saturday afternoon, so traffic should be fairly reasonable. It's about minus 14 degrees Celsius, but bright and sunny, so hopefully we don't affect the camera too bad. It's been a nice day so far, so let's see. Hopefully we don't see anything nasty. We'll try it out. So this is some of the stuff that we put up with on a daily basis. Regina's not that big of a city, but it's a little. We've got a little bit to get around in. Right now driving in a Mac 2009. It's got an 18-speed auto shift transmission, which is kind of like an automatic, except for the fact that it still has a clutch in it. Don't use the clutch too much, just in starting and stopping. The transmission shifts itself, but every now and again we take control of it because it doesn't necessarily shift the way that you want it to. I'm running empty right now, running westbound, empty to Medicine Hat with an A train to get a load of ammonia and NH3 anhydrous ammonia to return it back to Brandon. Running empty is not too bad, but it has its own little idiosyncrasies too, because even though you got no weight on you at all, you still got to deal with the way the trailers react to different things. They're more susceptible to wind and also to the bumps in the road and depressed wheel tracks. There's depressed wheel tracks on the number one. Further west you go towards the western side of Saskatchewan, they get really, really bad. And they toss these trailers around a little bit. So now we're just coming up the hill here. Well, it's a slight hill. It's probably considered a mountain in Saskatchewan, but it's just a little hill over the railroad tracks, and then you see the city of Regina straight ahead. And you start to hit the bumps in the road, bounce around a little, and getting to a little bit of more traffic. Coming down from, there's some nice wheel tracks. Coming down from 110, which we don't do 110, we're actually doing 100, and we come down to 90. So just a gentle slowdown, and we'll see how things go as we go through the city. There's a bunch of traffic lights up here. And they're not timed well. They're timed well for cars maybe, but just not for the bigger trucks, especially when we're loaded. It's kind of fun to get through. Some of them have pre-warnings on them to let us know that they're going to change. Some don't, so you kind of got to gauge how stale the light is. Something that us truckers do. And usually as I'm going through, driving along, I got music playing in the background, but I think music would override me, which might not be a bad thing anyways. And then we're going to slow down to 70 pretty quick here, just as we come right into, I guess, the first part of the eastern side of Regina. Saturday afternoon should be relatively quiet, but there's a bunch of those box stores in this area, hotels. You see the pre-warning lights flashing, so we're going to be stopped. Anytime we see those lights, if we're not doing the speed, if we're doing the speed when we see those lights come on, we're pretty well done. You will hear this thing, maybe you'll hear this thing shift, because it does shift just like a regular truck does, except for the fact that we don't do it. It shifts it for us, so it clutches and takes over. And the funny thing is, if we were driving a manual transmission, rarely do we ever use the clutch, even on shifts. So this one, I think this uses the clutch more than we would. It's the only route east to west through Regina. Let's get going. So it's all the traffic goes through here. It gets bogged up, especially at rush hour times, morning or afternoon. You can see that even running empty, there's a lot of weight. We run 20 tons empty, 63.5 tons loaded. Actually on this one we're about 57 tons loaded, just because of the wheel configurations. But just off to the right here, there's a truck stop. So this is kind of a busy corner with trucks in and out of here. Problem is they consider it a truck stop, but there's very little parking, and it's one of the only real truck stops in Regina. Not the, it's the biggest. It's definitely not the only one. It's the biggest, but it's just not very well planned out, and I think the city's going in around it, so it's can't really expand anymore. But it's got everything around it, like a Timmy's and a Perkins and a McDonald's, as well as their own little restaurant. But it's unreliable as to whether you can ever get in there or not. So, and going in front of me is a beautiful turnpike. 2 53-foot trailers. I always thought I'd want to drive one of those, but no, after doing the A, the B, and the C train, I think I'll stick with these and stay away from those nasty 53s. Try and get back up to something that almost resembles the speed up here to get back onto the number one, which is still on the number one, but to continue on the number one, we've got to go left. But, sometimes it can be fun trying to force people to let you in, because they just nobody wants to have a truck in front of them. And you know, we really need trucks on the road, because anything that you're buying, anything you're using, we're bringing it. Most people, a lot of people don't seem to understand that, but it's a fact. So I got someone who's trying to come up alongside me here, and I don't know where the heck he's going, because there isn't a lane there. There was a bridge in one there, and he thought better of it now. He pulled in behind. I have to wait for the light to turn green, so before he can move again. Yeah, so you see a number of these lights, and it's just a royal pain in the butt, because you just start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. People start rolling as soon as they see the lights turn yellow, and sorry, but there's a left turn signal. We do this route continuously back and forth between Medicine Hat and Brandon. Kind of get to learn what the roads are like. As soon as I get through this light, we'll make an attempt to steal the lane next to me so that we can make the left turn into heading towards Moose Jaw on the number one, and someone decides to give me space. Thank you very much. See a trucker flash his lights at you from after he's cut in front of you. It's usually a thank you. If he flashes his full beams at you, it's probably not. That might be something else that ends in U. It's definitely not thank. Because we've got a job to do. Most people that are out on the road being delayed by a few seconds by being courteous to a trucker doesn't hurt them too bad. But if we miss a turn or have to stop and then start from scratch again, it gets very tedious. Costs us a lot of time, and so if you can be a little courteous to a truck driver every now and again, we'd really appreciate it, and we remember it. So try to help you guys out on the road too. But if you see a truck driver trying to do something, give them a little bit of space. We need a lot of space to turn, a lot of space to move around. These things don't maneuver too easy. And don't cut us off either. Okay, because once we get going, we don't want to have to hammer on the brakes because some car has just cut me off. Because then not only do I lose all my momentum, but I might not be able to stop. Truck versus car, we're gonna win every time. Okay, you're gonna come out worse off. Give us some space. So we're in the left turn lane here. A couple more sets of lights. And big wide turn lane here, but it's kind of weird.
In 350 meters, turn left onto Highway 1 West.
It is weird because once you go around the corner, there's only one lane after that. And you do hear that I do use a GPS. I not 100% rely on it.
Turn left onto Highway 1 West.
Get around here. Keep that left signal light on because somebody is going to have to let me across right away. Because this lane dies pretty quick. Not so bad when you're running empty because we can come up to speed a little bit better, but sometimes when you're running loaded, you're really trying to fire across there. And then on a merge, you got to give it space too because, again, we need that lane. We need to get in there. And if you don't give us that space, someone's going to get hurt. So we really don't want to get in accidents with you guys.
Drive 470 kilometers on Highway 1 West.
Okay, that's basically the worst of Regina, but we'll just continue on. This is the ring road on Regina that turns into the back into the number 1 highway. There's a bunch of bumps, so it gets kind of hard to talk. Turns it back into the number 1 highway. We continue along westward out of through central Saskatchewan, I guess. See, and we're courteous because I let off a little bit just to give this guy some space. I don't want to have to hammer the brakes on. I don't want him hammering the brakes on and having someone running behind him. Lookout, even though we've driven this route a bunch of times, always looking at signs, height signs, the heights of bridges. You don't want to hit a bridge. So, not good for the ego and the pocketbook. And the company wouldn't be overly impressed, so to have their truck all over the news. Try to keep it on the road, under the bridges, and not touching the bridges. And if you're going to change lanes in around the truck, make sure you've got your signals. Use them. Make sure your lights are cleaned off so we can see them. Because sometimes people put signal lights on and we don't even see them. Straight stretch road, still a lot of bumps in it. Almost done with the trip through Regina completely, which actually went pretty smooth. Didn't have to curse anybody. Didn't use the horn. So it's always a good day. So when I come out with a smile on my face, I actually love driving in cities. And come out with a smile on my face, that's always a good thing. Just remember that we're out there. We have a job to do. Trucks are running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Lots of you guys are running 9 to 5 jobs. Sleep in the trucks. And, we don't get home as much as we'd like to, I guess. Try and be a little bit courteous. Smooth roads are so nice. This section was recently redone. Small section. This section was recently redone and it's like just runs so smooth. And we're with this next overpass that's just around this bend here. We come on right to the west end of Regina. Little trip that took just a little bit over 15 minutes. slowing down way too much for that. Okay, really didn't need to come down that far. Okay, it's an 80 km an hour cutoff, and there was a long straight stretch where you had lots of time to brake. Your deceleration time was much better, and then of course, even though we traveled this thing a number of times, that wasn't the west end of Regina, the next overpass is. But hey, nobody's perfect, right? So, and then after this overpass is a little straight stretch there, and then there's a big construction zone that's they're building a new overpass just outside Regina for the new industrial park that's gone in there. The anchor tenant there is Loblaws. I'm sure there's others in there. I haven't been in there for just over a year.